What's up? What's going on? Today I'm going to be talking about how much is Warren Buffett worth? The super rich guy, and his whole attitude about money, which to me is a pretty interesting and fascinating attitude. Before I begin, down below there's a link in the description, okay? And if you click on it, there's actually training on a very valuable skill, especially nowadays as things are moving online. If you want to sell a product, a service, consulting online, something like that, one of the most important skills to learn is how to take that attention and convert that into a sale online. It's much harder than a lot of people think. It's different than face to face. In the online world, there's a lot of tricks to learn that could if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to struggle. And it happened to me. So that's why I promote it, because I really believe in it. So if you're interested, click that link below. Uh, Now, Warren Buffett, when he was growing up, he wanted to be a millionaire before he reached the age of 35, okay? And he was always fascinated by money and counting. He did all kinds of crazy stuff. But the funny thing is, during high school, is before he graduated high school, he actually had just under $10,000 saved in the 1950s. That's a ton of money. And how he did this? Well, he worked for newspapers, he sold gum, he put pinball machines in barber shops and split the cash with them. He went down to horse racing tracks and people would throw away the tickets, and some of the tickets had cash on them. So he'd pick them up, turn them in, sold Coca-Cola, like soda, pop, they called it, all kinds of crazy stuff. And then he went to college, and there's a funny story how he applied, but I think it was, what was his name of the college? Columbia. And he learned value investing from Benjamin Graham, how to take your money and make a lot more money with it. Before Benjamin Graham, and he wrote this book called The Intelligent Investor, it was just a crapshoot. It was lucky that they didn't know what they're doing. They were just throwing money in the stock market or whatever. Um, all right. He thought the best way to give back to society was to keep growing his money. It does seem come across a little narcissistic. But hey, it's his money, right? And he was so tight with his money growing up, right? And throughout the years, he was really frugal. There's a story where someone needed a dime, he had a quarter, and I kid you not, he actually went to go and break the quarter to give him the change that he needed at the time. It was like, woo. um, Instead of just giving the person a quarter. I mean, he was really tight. When he bought the house, he had tons of cash. He hated it. Uh, Today he's worth nearly $89 billion. In fact, it would actually be worth a lot more than that if it wasn't for him donating some of his money to charity. And 89 billion. If you think about that, how many millions are in a billion? $1,000 million is worth in 1 billion. That's how rich he is. Today, I think he's the third richest, behind Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos from Amazon. Jeff's shot up there a lot. Now, the most fascinating thing to me is Warren Buffett's attitude when it comes to money and his family, how he treats family and money together, which is really pretty interesting. What he did was he took this very small farm that he had and he sold it and he invested all that money into Berkshire Hathaway, which is his company that invests in other companies, and he grown it for him. And with that, just one small investment, they all became very rich. And the whole story behind Berkshire Hathaway is a fascinating thing about ego, because he hated the guy, so he decided to buy the uh, textile mill over there in New England, and it sucked. It's a kind of a funny story how that thing came across. But growing up with his kids, he made his kids do chores like everybody else, and they would haggle over like pennies. So the kids didn't even know that they freaking had a bunch of money. Uh, and he would say no to like little requests too. Like he would say something like, "Well, if I did it for you, I had to do it for everybody," and stuff like that. And for inheritance, when he died, he set it up. They would all get about $500,000 each, and the rest would go to various charities. So he wanted them to have money to do what they wanted to do, but he didn't want them to have so much where they just didn't do nothing. Like imagine if you just got, I don't know, $100 million, some crazy amount. Would you want to work? I don't know. It's up to you, right? in some ways, when you get a lot of money, it makes you kind of lazy, not as hungry. So, anyways, I thought it was kind of interesting. And according to Warren Buffett, philanthropy, which is kind of like giving back to society, trying to make society a better place, is harder than business. You're tackling important problems that people with intellect and money have been tackling in the past, and they've had a tough time solving. Okay, you can't just throw money at a problem and expect to solve it. And if you, the way I look at this is look at like some of these charities, which I think a lot of them, unfortunately, are scams. Look at Haiti. You know, all these, remember the celebrities would get up there and they try to, give money, and then so much money was thrown at Haiti, and not that means shit was solved. There's still a lot of problems down there. And to him, Warren Buffett always said the money was just claim checks that should go back to society. He isn't, enthusiastic by dynasty wealth, particularly when the alternative is 6 billion people who got much poorer hands, were dealt a poor hand and were not as lucky. He felt that they should get some a chance too, right? And in 2006, Buffett announced that he would be gradually giving away his wealth to a network of his favorite charities. And over the past decade, he contributed about $28 billion to various charities, which is a lot. And when he announced that he was giving away his wealth, he kind of spoke of the ovarian lottery. He was lucky. And if you're a human right now, which you probably are if you're listening to me, you are somewhat lucky. Okay, you are. I'm lucky. You're lucky because, it's very the way the sex works and this crap. I listened to Gary Vee talk about this, and it makes some sense too. You could have been born, I don't know, a squirrel or something, right? You could have been born into an ant. Who knows? Maybe ants a better life. I don't know. But he was very lucky that he was born in the United States in the 1930s, and he said his whole attitude was he won the lottery the day he was born. Okay. Of course, what happens to Berkshire Hathaway when he passes away? Because he's old. And that's another really interesting question, right? Ever wonder that? Like, what the hell happens to I think his investments, to buy one share of Berkshire Hathaway is like super expensive. I didn't do research on how much it is. I think it's like over $100,000 or around that amount or something like that for one damn share. But basically, he has to choose someone to run the company after his death, and he announced that he was going to do that. And that was like, whoa, who's going to be running the company, right? And what happened was after he announced that, 700 people proposed, all around the world. One person explained, "Well, I'm said to be selfish and also ruthless." Many people wrote that they had no experience but wanted to be Buffett's apprentice, right? They wanted the guy to train him and to be his protege, right? And learn underneath him. And he collected all these letters in huge boxes in the boardroom, and eventually filing them away, right? And in the end, he chose 4 candidates who were already successful at managing money. They already kind of knew what they were doing, and they waited in the wings to assume the role of being compared to Warren Buffett, which is it's a big shadow to come out of, big shoes to fill. Basically like that. And Buffett's whole goal said that he would be happy if Berkshire was still serving his shareholders 30 years after his death. He would be happy if that happened. So there's some of his thoughts on money. Another thing about his whole attitude with family, I thought was just really pretty interesting and fascinating too. What do you think, huh? You think he had a good attitude, bad attitude? Would you be pissed if your dad was like had $90 billion and didn't give you that much? I don't know. What do you think? It's pretty interesting. I hope you liked this video. If you did, hit the thumbs up. You can also share it as well. If you are interested in online marketing, you can check out that link below. It's really good education and training. I wish I would have knew about it much earlier. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Okay, and take care, and bye.